Welcome and thanks for joining me today. My name is Lynn, and today I'm going to make a pretty quick and simple card. I'm going to start off with my background. This is a piece of watercolor paper that's been cut to 4¼ by 5½, and I'm going to be playing with my Distress Oxide sprays today. So I've got cracked pistachio, I have peeled paint, and I have iced spruce. And I'm going for 100% coverage, so I don't want any of the watercolor paper peeking through. And I decided last minute I'll throw in a little bit of yellow to brighten this a little bit. And so this is fossilized amber. I let that first coat dry, and then now I'm spraying on a second coat, and that way I can really get really good coverage. And I am looking for that mottled look, but I'm not going to splatter any water to get that oxidized look. I kind of like it the way it is. And I'm taking one of the stamp sets that has all of the fun images, gardening images from the Not Too Shabby box of the month, and I'm gonna basically create my own pattern paper. So I'm starting with the largest images that I plan to use, and I'm gonna work my way down to the smaller images. That way I can be sure that there's room for those larger images, and I don't mind if I don't get a perfect impression. This is just the background after all, so a lot of this is going to kind of fade to the back once I put my focal sentiment on here. But I am stamping with Archival Ink, and I have Vintage Photo and Ground Espresso, and I'm sort of alternating between the two. So some stamps I'm using the lighter color, some stamps I'm using the darker. What I'm stamping with now, that actually came from the cup of tea stamp set that comes in this subscription box as well. Really fantastic. And I ended up actually using all 3 stamp sets that you get in this month's box, and they play so well together, but they can be used individually on their own as well. But it's really nice how well they work together. And I decided to go with some black splatters because I'll be introducing a little bit of black to the card later. So I thought having a little bit in the background might help tie it all together a little bit better. And that was just black acrylic paint that I watered down a smidge. And because I have that tint of yellow with the fossilized amber, I decided to actually add some gold splatter as well. And again, this is an acrylic paint. It's from Arteza, and I just spread very lightly a little bit of water, just enough so that paint is thin enough so that I can just flick it off of my acrylic block. And you can let this dry naturally. I didn't really have the patience for that, so I took a heat gun to it and dried it that way. But there's my panel, my background panel, all complete. And so it's really fun to be able to create your own backgrounds like this. I went with greens and sort of more earthy colors because this month's theme is very plant and garden oriented. And when I saw the sentiment stamps, which is a complete other stamp set that you get, the first thing I thought was that they kind of look like those those motivational quotes that you often see framed and hanging on a wall. So that's the look I'm going for with this card. I'm actually going to frame up this sentiment, which says, "Home is where my plants are." And because my rectangular inverted scallop frame is taller than it is wide, I decided to add those little hearts, which came from the cup of tea stamp set, and that just helps to kind of fill out the sentiment a little bit, and that way it feels like it fits in this frame a little bit better. And even though this isn't a shaker or anything like that, I'm still adding a layer of acetate because that's going to sort of represent the glass pane that you would see in a photo frame. And the black frame itself, I've die cut 3 times and layered it up so that I have a little bit of thickness there. I think it's from Sunny Studios. I'll have to check and see if it's still available, and I'll if I can find it, I'll leave links to it in the description box below. And now that all of our pieces are done, I'll start to assemble the card. So as I mentioned, this is going to be a USA2 size card, so that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I added some dry adhesive all the way all around the edges, but this is heavier weight since it is watercolor paper, so I decided to add a little bit of liquid adhesive as well. And now for my frame. Now I want to kind of mimic the wire that you would hang your frame to a wall with. And so I've just taken some black twine that I'll tape just with some plain Scotch tape to the back of this frame topper element here. And it's I'm gonna attach this with some low profile foam. So this is just 1 millimeter thick. It's really, really nice because it does add just that hint of dimension without making your card too thick, and so you don't have to really worry about having to pay extra postage. And I'm going to put a silver Nuvo drop to kind of mimic the nail that would be hanging this, but naturally that twine seemed to curve rather than like a softer curve rather than coming to a sharper point. So what I did was I did this off camera. I put a little dot of glue at the very top there and just curved my twine into the shape that I wanted and put an acrylic block there to hold that shape. And that wraps up my card. I hope that you enjoyed it. Here are a couple more videos that you might like to watch. If you like this video, please be sure to like and share, and to catch more videos from Not Too Shabby, consider subscribing to this channel if you haven't already. Thanks so much, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye!